Alright, you guys, this episode of Paradigm Profiles is about blood member Brazy. Brazy, aka Bruce Anthony Parrish Jr., was born on December 12, 1974. In the late 80s or early 90s, some might argue that he was probably one of the most recognized and widely influential blood gang members on the entire West Coast. Brazy was a member of the Denver Lane Bloods gang, DLB, also known as the Denver Lane Gangster Bloods, DLGB. He was from 109th Street and Figueroa Avenue, right in the heart of West Side Los Angeles. They are named for a residential street called Denver Avenue between Hoover and Figueroa Streets. The Vermont Vista neighborhood is a well-known stronghold for the Denver Lane Bloods. Their neighborhood stretches from 105th Street to 120th Street between Vermont and Grand Avenues. This area is known and considered to be one of the biggest war zones in that part of West Los Angeles. Florencia 13, a powerful Sureño-based street gang, also shares this territory with the Denver Lane Bloods and have often been engaged in a fierce rivalry with them. But another Sureño-based street gang, South Los 13, are in closer proximity with the Denver Lane Bloods and have at times been peaceful with each other. The fact that South Los 13 has constantly been in conflict with Florencia 13 and that they share a common enemy with the Denver Lane Bloods has at times contributed to what some might consider to be a loose alliance. The 110 Harbor Freeway acts as the midpoint between the Denver Lanes, Broadway Gangster Crips, and the 118 East Coast Block Crips. But the Denver Lane Bloods are one of the strongest blood gangs in Southern California. Its cliques consist of 106th Street Lanes, 108th Street Lanes, 109th Street Lanes, 111th Street Lanes, and 115th Street Lanes. They also have a subset in Pasadena in San Gabriel Valley. This subset, called the Pasadena Denver Lanes, PDL, then formed another subset in Altadena called the Altadena Denver Lanes, ADL, aka the Altadena 50s. Brazy was active with the Denver Lane Bloods when gangbanging was peaking in the 80s and 90s. There was a time when something was happening out there on almost every corner in his neighborhood. They had other blood gangs that they were allies with in that area, such as the Crenshaw Mafia Bloods, the Athens Park Bloods, the Harvard Park Rims, the Bloodstone Villains, and the Weirdos Gangster Bloods. But they were literally surrounded by a number of arch enemies as well. The Hoover Criminals, 92, 94, 83, and the 107 Hoovers, the Hard Time Hustler Crips, and the Raymond Avenue Crips were also located in the West Athens neighborhood of South Los Angeles. On the east side of the 110 freeway, the Broadway Gangster Crips and the 118 East Coast Block Crips had established themselves. Then they had to contend with other Crips and Bloods that were located on the west side of Vermont Avenue. The Underground Crips and all the Neighborhood Crips, more notably the 111 Neighborhood Crips and the 112 Neighborhood Crips. Then the Denver Lanes were also enemies with other blood gangs such as the Mad Swan Bloods, the Inglewood Neighborhood Pyrus, the Inglewood Family Gang, among others. So this is what constituted that area to be considered an all-out full-fledged war zone. Blood on Crip, Crip on Blood, Blood on Blood, and Crip on Crip. At one point in the 1990s, Brazy linked up with other Bloods from his hood and became a member of two rap groups, the Blood and Crips and the Damu Riders. Other Damu Riders from the Denver Lanes included 8-Ball, June Dog, Peanut 2, aka KP, Little Laniac 2, G Len, and OG Len. However, Brazy wasn't your typical rapper. He wasn't the type of rapper who had aspirations to rap, but who really lacked the real life experiences that bona fide gang members are exposed to on the streets. Someone who is commonly referred to as a studio gangster. We've all seen them. The industry's full of them. The fakes and the frauds who rap about the culture and the life, but who have no real credibility because they were never really linked in. For anyone who had any doubt about the veracity of Crazy's credibility, all it took was for you to listen to any one of his rap songs on multiple albums, and you would know right away that his wordplay could have only come from someone who was really out there in the trenches. His level of gangbanging came alive through his lyrics, and he was poetic when he rapped about these things. There's only one other rapper who, in my opinion, had a same style when I listened to his music. That was Tupac. I could relate to everything he rapped about because I experienced a lot of the same things he did growing up. Brazy made his debut in 1994 with one appearance on the Bloods and Crips' second album, Bangin' on Wax 2. The saga continues. This was one of the first rap albums produced by gang members that included gang members disrespecting other gang members. The group split the following year, and Brazy became one of the main members of its spin-off group, the Damu Riders. He's featured on 11 of 13 songs on the group's 1995 self-titled album and 10 of the 16 tracks on the group's final album, How Deep Is Your Hood. On these albums were 3 Brazy solo songs, Bitches Can't Ride for Free on Damu Riders, Young Active Brazy, and Get Your Money on How Deep Is Your Hood. Brazy's musical output in the 1990s was sparse outside of the Damu Riders. He was well ahead of his time, and there just weren't too many other rappers out there who had the type of hard, gritty delivery that he was known for. In 1995, he made 2 guest appearances on fellow Blood gang member G-Len's album, Whoop Whoop. Brazy appeared on 3 songs on the 1996 compilation album, Flamin' B-Dogs Come Better. However, after the Damu Riders disbanded, he became more prolific as a featured artist. In 2000, he appeared on the albums Dirty Money by The Relatives and High Blood Pressure by Green Eyes. In 2002, he made guest appearances on 2 other albums, The Takeover by The Relatives and Me Against the World by Green Eyes. Although he never released a solo album, Brazy had guest appearances with Sugar Booga and Big Y. The Relatives, Mac 10, Ghetto, Gutter, Gangster, Murillo and Brando, Red Rum, Green Eyes, and others. But on May 9, 2003, an unfortunate chain of events would happen that would lead to Brazy losing his life. He was 28 years old. At 11:50 p.m., Brazy was shot while in the Sandman Hotel in Inglewood, California. It is rumored that a Latino woman led Brazy to the Sandman Hotel where rival gang members fatally shot him multiple times. Brazy apparently thought he was going to hook up and have a sexual encounter with this female, but she was a snake and had bad intentions from the onset. This was a common game that a lot of females would run back in those days. They'd work in cahoots with a boyfriend, a pimp, or a few cats from the neighborhood who were out looking for people to jack up. The female would lead the target to believe that they were going to go to a hotel or a house to have a sexual encounter, but those were never really her intentions at all. She'd use the art of seduction and her sexual prowess as a woman to lure an unsuspecting victim to a hotel or a spot so he could be jacked up and robbed. For whatever reason, the female apparently believed that Brazy was in possession of a lot of money and drugs. After entering the Sandman Hotel, Brazy was ambushed and shot by a group of Sureño gang members. This incident just added more fuel to the already festering racial conflict that was escalating between the African American black gangs and the Hispanic American Sureño gangs. Brazy managed to make it outside of the hotel on the 800 block of West Manchester Boulevard, where he collapsed and went into cardiac arrest. He was unconscious when police and paramedics arrived, and he was pronounced dead a short time later at the hospital. The unfortunate circumstances that led to Brazy losing his young life was something that was felt by both Bloods and Crips across the country. He wasn't just an important part of rap history, but he was also a well-respected Denver Lane Blood that helped pioneer hardcore rap, and he was one of the best to do it. One can only imagine where Brazy would have gone if he would have lived long enough to reach his full potential. It seems like all those artists that possess some of the rawest forms of talent are all destined to spend a short time with us and end up passing before they turn 30. The Brazys, the Tupacs, the Biggies, the Nipsey Hussles, and all the others who left us before their time. But they all left behind prolific and prophetic memories through their music. Music that never seems to get played out. Even albums like Bangin' on Wax after almost 30 years. That's the definition of legendary. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of Paradigm Profiles. As I've been saying, we're trying to catch up and drop as much content as we possibly can. Also, remember to get your questions in for the next Q&A, as we're going to try to get that out by the end of the week. As always, we appreciate all the support and all the positivity. But most of all, we appreciate you, the viewers, as we realize that without you, we would cease to exist.